have to press it harder.
There it goes. It's
Oh, it
popped
is going, right.
up.
Good morning. So,
More.
day 1 of Honey Advent, and I'm starting today with Ulmo honey, and this is from Chile. Now, it's so good to have you here, Kirsty, because you are a honey sommelier, and you've also got a story about Ulmo. But first of all, I'm going to share my story. So, I went to Apamondia in Chile in 2023, and it was an incredible Apamondia and, full of Chilean honeys, and there was a lot of people from South America. However, I was then after the conference, we were flying to Rapa Nui or Easter Island, and there it's very similar to Cocos, where you do an international flight, but from a domestic department of the airport. So, so that's always a bit weird with checking things in and bags and stuff. Now, Rapa Nui, you cannot take honey in. You can't take anything to do with bees. They've got their bees without disease or without varroa, and so you can't take anything in. And so we had to leave a lot of our bags in Santiago and just take a little bag with us. And we were going through security, and of course, my bags have got bees all over them. So they have badges. I had an Apamondia badge. And as I was going through security, this lady looked at my bags, then looked at me, and she said, "Oh, have you just been to Apamondia?" So I said, "Yeah, and then I said I spoke. And I'm not sure if she said she saw me speak or not. But anyway, we had a little chat, and she was a beekeeper. So there she's doing security, and she's a beekeeper. And so we had this lovely chat, and then, I felt really excited, and then we went into the departures, which was not very big because it was a domestic departures. And we're sat in there, and about 20 minutes later, this security woman runs in and gives me, I mean, transporting honey through airports, if you're in, if you're in the departures, you wanna have a tiny pot and it's gotta be all sealed. And she gives me this massive pot. Good morning, Tommy.
Good
And
morning.
so she gives me I was just saying about how I got this honey. So I was going through the securities in, Santiago Airport after a big bee conference, Apamondia, and the security lady recognizes that I'd been to the bee conference. Then she comes and finds me and gives me this massive pot of honey. It was full and it was all sealed. So we took it to Rapa Nui, but I daren't open it because I was like, is this legal? I've taken some honey, into Rapa Nui. So I didn't open it. But then I thought, well, it's a security woman who's given it to me and it's all secure, so it should be fine. So I had to take it out. And then to get it from Santiago back to England, again, I couldn't really open it because it was so big. So I put it in my hold luggage and took it home, and I couldn't taste it till I got back. But it's Ulmo honey. And in Chile, this is their medicinal honey. Now, I don't like comparing things with Manuka, but that is the gold standard of a medicinal honey. And with Ulmo, they tested it with Manuka against certain viruses and bacteria, and they found that the Ulmo performed the Manuka, which was a UMF of, I think, 25. Yes, so, and it had better antibacterial properties. So it really is strong. So Ulmo comes from a tree, a species of tree called Eucryphia and cordifolia. And there's only 5 species of this tree. They're all in the southern hemisphere, and 2 are in Tasmania, so they're leatherwood, 1 in Australia, South Australia, and then the others are in Argentina and Chile. And so it's an elm tree. It's similar to an elm tree, or that's what we would call it. But it has these lovely big white flowers, big simple flowers. And it's pollinated by bees. So either a native bumblebee that they have in South America, or the introduced Apis mellifera, which is the Western honeybee. So obviously this is honey from Apis mellifera. And I'm going to, now bear in mind this, oh my gosh, this is from 2023. So the honey has much better activities when it's really fresh, so within three months. So this is older than that, but it has been stored cold, dark space whilst we were away. And I hadn't eaten a lot before we went away. So most of this is gone since I've come back from Cocos. Now, I just lifted the lid there and the aroma was so strong. Oh, so, but in a good way. So it really is almondy. It's just such a distinctive smell. And to me, it's if you look at aromas, this has got a like a plaster, plaster of Paris or paper. It's that kind of aroma. It's not floral, it's not fruity, but then it has that sort of nutty almondy um, side to it. So you can see it hasn't. I don't think it was creamed, but it hasn't really crystallized. It is quite runny. Beautiful. Oh, and the aroma. So now I'm gonna have you all with your mouths watering as I taste it. Mm, mm. This is when the floral notes come in. So it is so smooth and it just fills your mouth with all these aromas. So there's flowers, there is that sort of almondy, like marzipan, but without the sugar. And it's so fresh. It's so fresh. It's really fresh and cooling. Mm. It is good, and and there was a little bit of a citrusy note, but a bitter, like lemon peel, just slightly bitter. Mm, I've got to lick every bit of the spoon. So I really wanted to start the advent with this one because when I did the honey tasting at my book launch, I had about 10 different honeys, and this one people were blown away by. They were like, "Oh, what is that honey? It's just so unusual." Um, but I'm so excited because today I've got Kirsty, who is a sunny honey sommelier. And not only do you speak Spanish, but you tasted Ulmo honey. And at Appomondia in Copenhagen, you were talking to the beekeepers. Actually, first of all, I'm just going to give a mention to the lady that gave me this. So it's the company is called Ruka Pilan Cutral, and um, they are actually beekeepers and artisan wood makers. So I wonder if they use the wood from the Ulmo trees to actually make their things. But I've got their Instagram here, and I will actually tag the link to them. And I hope she doesn't get into trouble for giving me honey at an airport. But really, really great stuff. So it's Ferdinand and Yuji, and they make their honey. And these trees they grow in the middle bit of Chile, sort of halfway down, so Lagos area. Right, so Kirsty, over to you. Would you like to share your story of Ulmo?
So I also attended Appomondia in Copenhagen this September, mostly to go around the honey bar. That was pretty much all I wanted to do. And actually, the Chilean stand was the first one. I thought, okay, that's the first one I'm going to go to. And I had my little notebook and I wrote down everything that was on the Chilean stand. And I put a little asterisk on my most favorite honeys. And Ulmo and there was another honey called Quillay were my two most favorite honeys from that stand. And just as you described, for me, I found it really very refreshing. It's such a refreshing honey, and yet it had these really incredible candied fruit aromas. Um, like going into a sweet shop, but combined with the freshness was really, really unusual for me. And I also picked up when I was tasting it on those very citrusy notes. The one on the table was actually really granular, so it was very, very chewy and quite gritty, actually. But the freshness, despite all that, was just it blew me away. I thought it was absolutely incredible. So I then trotted through to the trade area, where Chile had their own stand, being able to speak Spanish because I lived in Argentina for 4 years when I was a little bit younger. Um, I decided to go over and chat to the ladies, and at first they were like, "Oh, but where is your Spanish from?" Because Chile and Argentina have very, very distinctive accents in Spanish, and mine obviously sounds quite Argentine, and theirs is deeply Chilean. So they were very confused that someone who was English could speak quite good Spanish, but also sound Argentine. Anyway, we eventually got over this, and I said, "Please, please, please, would you tell me all about the honey? Because when I lived in Argentina, I didn't have an interest in honey, so I know absolutely nothing about Chilean Argentine honeys." And we must have spoken for about an hour. And they took me through all their honeys, and they told me about all the flowering times. They were exceptionally excited about Kilyai honey, which I don't know if you were able to taste that when you were in. So it's another honey that has very, very amazing properties. A little bit like a eucalyptus honey in its flavor. It's quite smoky, quite aromatic, very caramelly, but it's also quite woody and sour. And they were telling me that this one is has amazing properties, health properties. They've discovered that it has incredible properties for curing malaria and all sorts of things, which they're doing a lot of research into. But they were also telling me about honeydew honeys that when they flower down in the south of Chile, it's such a wet time of year that they can't harvest them. They just keep it as a food for the bees. But yes, I'm very, very jealous that you got to have your your container of honey to come away with, because Chile is so strict on what you can bring in and out. Even when I used to drive over the border from Argentina into Chile, you couldn't take an apple with you. It was snatched away from you at the border. So you were very, very, very fortunate. And I can remember lingering around the honey bar when it was closing down, thinking, what happens to all these pots of honey? Can I sneak away a pot of Ulmo or Kilyai to take home with me? I wasn't so lucky as you, but yes, it's
Oh.
an absolutely beautiful tree. It gets very, very tall, and these flowers are incredibly fragrant. So yeah, I would love to have a Eucalyptus tree in my garden just to treat the bees.
I know, it just looks beautiful, and the flowers, they remind me of the calophyllum trees on Cocos, so they're just very
Oh, okay.
simple, big white flowers.
Flowers.
Yeah, so, it is amazing, isn't it, when you look at different species? Well, I'm very lucky because I brought back, and I do now need to look at the jars I've got, but when we were in, Santiago, we did, one of the excursions, and we went to see beekeepers up in the Andes, and I bought, oh gosh, I think I bought 3 or 4 honeys from one place and a couple from another, and I brought back 3 honeys from Rapa Nui. So I'm
Mm.
gonna look, I mean, I don't have Spanish at all, but I will, before I taste them for this honey advent, I will have a look. But of course, we went to Santiago and it was the September, and when I came back, that's when I decided to leave the newt and to really, it was when I knew we were going to go to Cocos. So I'd started packing everything away, and all I could think about was Cocos. So as we've been unpacking, I've found all these honeys that I've barely looked at, let alone tasted or even thought about. So I will have a look and see. I could well have. Do you know what? I'm going to have to send you pictures, won't I, of the labels, and you can translate them for me. And then maybe when I do them, you'll have to come on again. But yeah, it is just amazing the amount of different honeys there are in the world. And,
Mm.
you start doing an advent and you think, "Oh, 24 honeys," but already I've started planning what I'll do, and it's like, "Oh, no, I can't do that one," or, you have to start prioritizing because there's just so many amazing honeys. You probably could do an advent just with Chilean or, South American honeys.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I would think so. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, I was able to get honey sack, but I took in naively when we went there, at the last minute, I thought I'd take some of my honey to give as gifts, and it all got confiscated at the airport as we came in.
Oh.
And I had one of those horrible situations where I picked up my big case and it had red tape all round it with some angry Spanish words on it. And I had to go through the "you have something to declare," and there was dogs and there was all these men with guns. and we had to open up my case. And thankfully, I do pack as if it's going to be opened, and check through. So I have everything in little bags. And there I had these beautiful jars of my honey, and it was dandelion honey. And I'm like,
Oh.
please don't burn it. Please don't throw it away. I said, just eat it, just eat it. It's the best thing you could do. Because I do wonder as well, because if they were to just throw them away, if it gets into the watercourse, I mean, if you're worried about pathogens in honey, so I suppose the best thing they can do is eat it because, you can't wash it down the sink or just put it in a bin. So I wonder what they do when they
Mm.
concentrate honeys.
I'd
Um,
love to know because the same thing happened to me when I was in Hungary. I got super excited and bought all this amazing honey in the food market, forgetting that I hadn't got a suitcase that was going in hold. It was
mm,
only going into the actual aeroplane. And this awfully strict lady confiscated it all. And I was so angry. I always wanted to punch her because as soon as you've walked through the check-in bit into the main bit of the airport, you can buy any number of massive jars of honey. And I'm thinking, why is this so unfair? And you do just sit there thinking, what do they do with that honey? Who gets to eat it? Who gets to enjoy it? Because I don't, and it
no,
makes
I
you
know.
livid. Oh, but I honestly appreciate that it is for the safest thing for the bees, and, yeah, I came across that countless times traveling across the border between Argentina and Chile because you can travel across at various points along the Andes. Very, very, very strict controls because they're not just their honey, but their food industry for exportation of fruit and soya, and it's very, very, very it's a huge part of their economy, so they have to be so, so careful with their biosecurity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me, in Rapa Nui, what were the beehives like?
Oh, well, there was a mixture, but what I really wanted to see and did see was the wild bees. And there
Oh,
were wild bees in these lava tubes, volcanic lava tubes.
oh,
And that was
wow.
the first time I ever saw a flowering avocado tree with the bees on it and
Wow.
these massive hives in these caves. So yeah, but I am going to do at least one. I might even do two Rapa Nui tastings because yeah, the stories from there are phenomenal. So I'm going to end this
Yep.
now, and then I will see you all again tomorrow. And I can't remember what honey I'm doing to tomorrow, but you'll just have to come and join.
What time tomorrow, Paula?
Um, I think I'm doing it later in the day,
Yay!
3 o'clock in the afternoon. Yes, so I'm doing all different times of the day, and the calendar in school will actually have the actual time. So I'm trying to give as much notice as possible. So 7:30 in the morning on Friday because we're heading off somewhere afterwards. So it'll be dark. It'll be dark, and I'll be doing honey tasting. And then yeah, so I've got an evening one I think on Wednesday. So yeah, just check the calendar, and that's where I'll put down what honey it is and what time. And then Kirsty, you're joining me for one, aren't you? For
Yes.
one of your favourite honeys. So that's
Yeah.
exciting. Right. Bye for now.